Good morning and welcome to Sports Desk Live on Comcast Channel 26, streamed on Facebook, also on the New Mexico Sports Network. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with producer Alden Iowani. Our special guest today is Las Vegas Robertson football coach Leroy Gonzalez. Coach, welcome to the program.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on.
You know, Coach, we've been wanting to cast a wider net around the state. It's nice to do Albuquerque schools and Albuquerque what they're doing. But you know what? This is a program. Thank God we can Zoom, right? If you had to come in studio, we'd have a problem. But Zoom has made things so much more accessible and able to get guests from Las Vegas. You know, Coach, I'll tell you what a resume you have. You know, you've been in Las Vegas Robertson for 11 years, but you as a head coach now, you're the defensive coordinator there, and Las Vegas Robertson has won 3 state football championships,
right?
And you were part of those as defensive coordinator. And almost unbelievable as a runner-up in 15, 16, 17, and 18. So, you know, you've been around some championship football and on the cusp of some championships yourself as the head coach. I remember that game against Ruidoso that I did there a couple of weeks ago, years ago, and they scored with 10 seconds left, I believe.
Yeah, you know, those are tough ones. We've had a couple. 3, you know, one, you know, Portales that year was just tough, man. And we had to get turnovers in first half. We got 2 turnovers and it was 14-14, but then, you know, Portales came out in the second half and really put it to us. And they were a really, really good team that year. They were really, really good. I think they would have challenged in 5A that year. They were tough. They had size, that speed, you know, you know, my first championship, we played silver. It was -5 degrees here. And I remember the coach over there wanted to try to play it in Albuquerque, you know, and I was like, oh no, man, you guys are coming up to Las Vegas in the snow. So that's what I remember about that first state championship. It was cold. And yeah, that Ruidoso, it really still hurts. You know, that one, you know, you know, you wrote me some questions and I said, what do you remember? I said, I remember it was a minute left, second down, and it looks like we're going to sack the quarterback. And I think they had 1 or 0 timeouts left. And quarterback just spins off my defensive end and runs for like 40 yards. That was kind of the play.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah, that you mentioned.
Yeah,
that.
And that really hurt. And,
yeah.
You know, that really hurt. And I remember that's the play that it really, you know, tells me, but I remind about that. But what a game, you know, 50, I think it was 56-54, you know.
Yes. It was an incredible game. And if I remember right, the Ruidoso winning score was in the right corner of the end zone.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right in front of us.
Yes.
And tough. You know, you've been, you know, when you've been in the, you know, here in 3A for a long time and 4A, back when we were 4A when Ruidoso was there and you know, you become really good friends with those coaches. But man, the smile that Coach Johnson had after that game, I still remember that.
Oh, no, you know what? You always tuck those away and you remember those because it's, you know, Jim McKay said that on Wide World of Sports, the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, right? And you've been through some, but I'll tell you what, 101-36 is your coaching record. And one thing that people know about the Cardinals, and I remember this a couple of years ago, Roger Holian and I did a game up here in Albuquerque when you played a heavily favored Hope team. Right. And, you know, that game there, I thought the people know the Cardinals are going to be there. I thought you really took it to them that game and you came through and beat a heavily favored Hope team.
Yeah, you know what we really wanted to do, and it's kind of like our season this year. Hope, you know, not demeaning anything that they've done, but you know their district is kind of not at that high level. And when you have so many teams like that, and then when you come to, a semifinal game, because they were off and then they won, they beat another team. And then, when you get to those semifinal final, those are knockdown drag out fights. And when you're beating kids or teams 50-7 and 50-0, you kind of get relaxed a little bit, and that's why, as hard as it is now in 3A to keep my schedule tough, it's tough, man, to get all those teams, to be ready. You know what I'm saying?
Right. But I'll tell you what, you've also had 7 district titles. You won 1 state championship. And again, you've built that program, that expectations. You're transplanted norteño, you're
Yeah.
from San Antonio. And, but again, when you're Vegas and you live there, as my good friend Richard Tripp always reminds me, you mentioned it. That's home, right? That's home.
Right.
So
Yeah, Las Vegas is home.
what do you attribute the success of the program to? And it's a lot of your coaching. You grew up as a defensive coordinator there.
Right.
You must have really loved it coming from San Antonio, Texas to Las Vegas, New Mexico. And the program has had great success, even when you were there as a defensive coordinator.
Right.
And what do you, that's 17, 18 years, right? Because
Right.
2003, they won back-to-back championships.
Right.
And the program is really, again, 101 wins. You just got your 100th victory. Congratulations. What do you attribute that success of the program
I think, when I first got here, I got here with Chad Ronehouse, and the type of practice that, and I'm sure he got some of that stuff from his dad, is almost the same kind of practices that what I was accustomed to in San Antonio, in Texas. So, we kind of gelled right away, me and Chad, and we just kept it on. I think the style of practices that we have is for Las Vegas. It's for these kids that we have. It's kind of like that Santa Rosa. Santa Rosa, they don't run a single wing. Whoever comes in there is going to run a single wing, and that's what they do. In Robertson, we run the football and the style of run that we do. It attributes to the whole program since then. I just kept it going. I think it's the right fit for our type of kids. It's worked. But I attribute a lot of it to my assistant coaches that I've had. I've learned a lot. Or when I was assistant coach, the head coaches that I've worked under. I attribute a lot. I take a lot from everybody, and I hope my assistants have done that with me, and I've had great assistants. Right now, head coach at West and the assistant, the D coordinator at West were my assistants at one time. And they're doing a heck of a job there. So I've had good assistants. And I'm going to tell you, as one of my old coaches, and may he rest in peace, he just passed away, Coach Jim Marshall, used to always tell me, you can be the greatest coach, but you got to have the guys. You got to have the guys. And we've been fortunate at Robertson to have those guys come in through our program that are, fit and gel with what we do. We've kind of had to change a little bit with the times, because of the spread, but we're a power run team, and we're getting the spread and we still run power out of the spread.
We're going to go to some statistics here, because you're averaging 308.8 yards per game on offense, and your defense is only yielding 12 points per game. Santa Fe scored 34. They're a 5A team, and Santa Fe is experiencing a resurgence of sorts, and it's good to see. I love to see that. I really do. But I'll tell you what, your defense has played exceptionally well. You mentioned Coach Marshall, who, when I hear his name, Richard Tripp, again, Richard's a very good friend of mine. Yeah. He speaks so highly of him that anytime I hear him, I don't know him, but I'm like, wow, that guy had a lot of respect up there, up in Las Vegas, for sure.
I came to Las Vegas to play baseball at Highlands, so he was my college coach, and boy, man, what I learned from him, just teaching and coaching, not just baseball, because I don't know if you know, Ed, but I am the baseball coach here too.
Yes. Richard Tripp let me know he did. Yes.
Yeah. So Vegas is a tight sports community, man. I'm telling you. There's when there's a game here, there's gonna be people in Las Vegas watching the game.
You know what? I love it, man. I love that, because I talked to Adrian Ortega, the head coach at Trisco Heritage, the former Cardinal. I had him on the show last year, and he was telling me, Coach Ray Rodriguez, who's from Las Vegas, New Mexico, he's an AD at Cibola. He was telling me he was an assistant at Robertson back in the day, and man, he would tell me those people get after their they get after their games. They mean a lot to them. I used to be a high school basketball official, and I remember reffing Manuel Romero.
Yeah,
When he
yeah, yeah,
coached in
man.
Mora, and Manuel had that stomp on the sideline. Hey, they're
Yeah.
going to get after that up north, man. You got to love the passion though, because your fan base. I remember that game like it was yesterday. I remember the sun setting. It was dark. It just started getting dark. It was a great game, 56 to
Yeah.
54. But you
Yeah.
just mentioned your fan base up north is very. They love the Cardinals. They love the Dons. They love their sports up north,
Yeah.
man, for sure.
No, that's one thing, whoever is in the playoffs, like I said, we'll have West fans that, in the playoffs when we play. So, I think the community is a big sports community, man. I love it when, people always talk about, imagine if we had one school here. I was like, that'll never happen. But imagine, we have packed stadiums every Friday night for sure.
It's a healthy rivalry. I know
Right.
back in the day, it's had its days of when people are passionate about teams. I get it. Up here I played for Highland. Sandia was a big rival. Albuquerque
Right.
High was a rival. We wanted to beat them. I get that. Coach, I wanted to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
Your coaching overall. How long have you? How many seasons besides coming to Las Vegas Robertson, starting there? How many years did you coach in San Antonio? How many years?
I coached 2 years. I was the special teams coordinator at Holy Cross High School. It was a TAPS 3A team back then. It used to be called TCIL, but now it turned to TAPS. It's parochial. Tough, man. I mean, people on the eastern part of the state know, Midland Christian is a powerhouse football team in Texas, and the eastern part of states knows that. But they were in our division. In 1994, we won state championship there, and I coached baseball also, made it to the state finals in baseball. So, I coached 2 years there. I wanted to stay. Had my wife, that was my fiance then, was coaching here at Robertson basketball. So, I decided there was a grad assistant job open for Highlands for baseball. So I ended up coming to get my master's, coming back. And then, Coach Marshall left when I came back, and he was in Hobbs, and he always told me, man, Leroy, if you want to get into the systems there, you need to coach like a Legion team or a summer league team. So I started doing that. And that's kind of how I got into knowing a lot of people in Vegas and kind of getting my foot in the door, And also, a lot of people don't know, I was Mora started the first football team. I was their first head coach in Mora for middle school. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah, that was in I think it was in 2000, 99 and 2000. Yeah. Yeah, I went 6-1 as middle school. But things happened, the job's open, and I got to Vegas and been here ever since, man. I left 2 years to coach at Highlands. I was a defense coordinator for 2 years there. And then I had gotten I have kidney disease, so I had gotten sick, so came back to the high school level in 2008. 2009, I'm sorry. 2009, 2010. I was assistant here for Richard Martinez 1 year, and then I got it in 2010.
You got the head job.
Yeah.
In 2010.
Yeah. So no, man, I think I love Vegas. Vegas. I always tell people the best times of my life were at Highlands. And I love the place. I grew up hunting and fishing in South Texas, and I could do it here.
Pretty good seamless transition. I'll tell you what, Coach. When we come back, we're going to talk about this year's version of the Cardinals. They're 4-1 so far, and they're again, you mentioned your rushing attack. We'll mention some of that, and you can talk about your defense when we come back to the sports desk after these messages. Good job, Coach.
I got to work with him at Highland.
Back up the middle, down the left side, and Ayala might break it to the house, and he does. 31-yard touchdown run for Ayala. And then just like that, 3 plays, Coach, the Mustangs are on the board.
Yeah, they are.
Two teams are responding.
Good serve by Emma Villapondo. Jordan Joe with another kill.
Mitchell down the sideline, still going. He's finally chased down from behind.
And picked up there by John Teague of Los Alamos.
Oh, that's a nice ball.
Kicked ahead, and that's a shot on goal attempt. It's good. First goal of the game is by number 15, Alex Levescu. Levescu, the forward midfielder, strikes first for the Hilltoppers, leading 1-0. Well done, Coach.
Kalajic for the match, and she puts it away in straight sets. Momentum back to pass. He's going to float it up for Ayers. Exodus with the catch. Welcome back, Exodus Ayers. Touchdown, Bears.
And that's
So it's out to the 36-yard line. First and 10, Olivas. He's going for it all, looking for the other quarterback, Franco. Complete. Touchdown, El Dorado. No flags on the play. 36 yards.
Knows ahead of the pack. That's a
Wow,
speed
he's
race
got
by Ella
speed.
coming in all the way out. Be a one-on-one situation. There's an easy goal for number 11 of Los Alamos, John Teague. So that's the third goal.
We're going to fake to Bowie on the slant up the middle. That's complete. Big run and plenty of yards after the catch. And Caleb Garcia, or excuse me, Mason Kroll is to the house for the touchdown.
look at the wheels by the big man there. Coaches recruiting in the state.
Yeah.
Anyway, all
This
good.
ball is kicked off here, and it will be a faked end around coming up the field, drilling
Wow.
through, and I
Oh my
think, Roger,
God.
that's an exciting start
Way
to the
too
game.
easy.
Yeah, Caden Valdez, he will go in for the touchdown, and the Hawks are now up 6-0. There are 11 seconds off of the clock.
I prefer to do stuff online. I can find things much quicker, do the research I need, and have it shipped or waiting for me to pick up. The Shop by Payments option was perfect for me. I got online, clicked on Shop by Payments, put in my down payment and monthly budget, and the guessing was done. From laptop, I was able to nail down the bike I wanted, add a few customizations, and get an estimate on my trade-in.
A burglary takes place in the United States approximately every 15 seconds. International Protective Service is your answer for commercial and residential security in all of Albuquerque. IPS will work with your monitoring company for fast, reliable response times. You can rest easy knowing you, your family, or your company is watched over by International Protective Service. Call International Protective Service today.
Welcome back to the Sports Desk live on Comcast Channel 26, also streamed on Facebook and also on the New Mexico Sports Network, along with producer Alden Iwani. I'm your host, Ed Nunez, along with Las Vegas Robertson head football coach Leroy Gonzalez. Coach, I did some homework on you, and I got a quote for you, and I think this comes from somebody that knows you. I think the best way to describe him would be one word: prepared. Both his football and baseball teams are as prepared for a contest as you can find, and that came from West Las Vegas athletic director Richard Tripp. So he's very complimentary of the job you do over there.
Yeah, we have to. I mean, the most important thing that I like to do is make sure our kids are in the right spot. That's the half the battle. The rest is, sure, you got to tackle and be aggressive and that kind of stuff. But if they're in the right spot, I think that's what we can do as coaches. The rest of it has to be on the athlete. So yeah, man, Richard, they've been good to me. Those guys, him and his brother, can't say a lot. I can't say thanks that much, as many times as I can to them, because they're always talking good about me, and they're good people, and they, sports guys, we talk all the time, about who's this, and who's going to play and stuff like that. So, I've always been taught to be prepared, from my college coaches, from the coaches I've worked under. All of them are great coaches, Roanhouses, the Cedillos in San Antonio, and the Marshalls, and those kind of guys really are the ones that, what I do, how I do it. I pick and choose from what I want,
I'll tell you what, so when you mentioned Coach Chad Roanhouse, and of course his father, Eric Roanhouse, a longtime coach at Clovis. Again, I think practices and the things you described,
right?
You've got things in place that people, they know what to expect, right? You've been there with the Cardinals since 2003, so it's no surprise then. And again, learning from a guy like Chad Roanhouse, who learned under his father, Eric, who's one of the greatest football coaches in New Mexico history, that doesn't hurt. That helps too.
No,
but,
man, no,
yeah.
I take a lot of stuff from that, and a lot of my defensive stuff when I first started was I would call he was at Clovis, now he's at Cleveland, is Coach Kilmer, Eddie Kilmer, and I'd call him and he'd say, yeah, I'll send it. So I would be waiting on the email, waiting for Coach Kilmer to send me. I text him, Coach, I didn't send it, because he'll get there. So I couldn't wait. I can't wait. I couldn't wait anymore. Next thing I know, I get a thing in the mail. He sent it in the mail and a yellow notepad paper. And I told Coach Kilmer, I was like, yeah, old school, man. Yeah. He's like, I don't know how to work computers. but yeah, man, I think when you pick from all these different programs that are good, I think it helps, because I want to be like them. That's the thing, my program, I want to be a Clovis, or I want to be a Cleveland, or I want to be this top echelon team, so.
Tell you what, Coach, a lot of programs, kind of probably look to you as well to emulate with the record you've got and the success you've had. It works both ways. I wanted to say too, Coach, a shout out to Jim Bob Marshall's son, who's watching. And, you mentioned Coach Marshall, who blocked for Gale Sears back in Kansas, man, the Kansas Comet. You mentioned Coach Marshall just real briefly during our commercial break, a swimmer, a skier, a baseball guy, everything he did, he competed well. And like I said, I never knew him, but the way you talked about him, a great coach, but a great man, a great person. And, that's a big loss to the community of Las Vegas for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. He molded me, a little bit. So yeah.
Coach, I wanted to talk about this year's version of the Cardinals. And again, you've got a 4-1 record. You dropped your opener to Santa Fe 34-8, but since then, beating Cobre, shut them out 46-0. Santa Rosa 42-7. Ruidoso a little closer, 12-7. You beat them, and then you 50 point at Espanola Valley. You've got Tucumcari coming up this week. Talk a little bit about that Ruidoso game, because those are the ones old school, right? The 10-3 games, and that's a low scoring game. Remember 56-54 in the championship a couple of years ago. This one's a defensive battle, 12-7. Talk about that game.
Oh man, I'm telling you, we got in there and we know we're going to face size and athleticism, and we hadn't faced that the whole year, and we know it was going to be tough to do what we do. So we grinded it out. We got our yards. We dropped I think a touchdown in the first quarter, and then couldn't get in, because their defense, they had a goal line stop two times inside the one, So, those are the type of games that are going to help us in the long run. Get into the Ratones, to the St. Mike's, and to the West Las Vegas game, because I think St. Mike's is 4-1. The rest of them haven't lost. They're 5-0. West is 5-0. So, getting into district, that, that's going to, that game hopefully is going to help us, prevail in those tight games, So it's good to have those. It's really, really good to have those.
I think I've always said that I want to know where we're at with some adversity. Everything's good when we're winning 54-0, 46-0. Everybody's getting some reps and time, but those other games are what we're made of, the character we're made of, right? Did we give up? What do we show? And I'll tell you what, again, the Cardinals have always shown heart, grit, determination, right? They're not going to back down to anybody. So that must have been one heck of a game. And you mentioned Raton, St. Mike's, and West. And if you're both undefeated by then, who knows what's going to happen last game of the year on October 30th at Robertson. You can imagine the excitement around that game.
Always.
I'm sure people will be circling it on the calendar, but like any other coach, you're going to say, I've got other fish to fry before we do that.
That's exactly right. You know, the big thing that I tell the kids is, okay, we want to be 1-0 by Friday. We don't worry about who's next or who's behind us or what. We're thinking about that Friday night's game and be 1-0 after that game. That's our chant all the time. That what we say. You know, we're not worrying. You know, we'll get there. We'll get to those games later. But we got to take care of our stuff that we got to take care of. You know, and you had said, Ed, this year's Cardinals. You know, COVID took a hit. We didn't. You know, we have a season last year, us or West. Las Vegas schools and West Las Vegas schools decided, no, we're not going to have seasons for football. So right now, what we're trying to do is get that experience up to the level that we need to be to be that district championship or in the title game. So, you know, a lot of these kids we always play sophomores, no matter what. You know, our population is so small that sophomores play. So these sophomores this year haven't played since their 8th grade year. And that's quite a jump from middle school to JV to varsity.
Yes.
So that is what we're fighting right now. That is what we're trying to get from now until we get to district, is that game experience and that game speed, you know, because it's different. They haven't played varsity ball, you know, until this year. So that's what we're fighting this year, you know, that those guys as freshmen didn't get to play JV last year because we didn't have a season. So they're coming from 8th grade to varsity, and that's a big jump.
No, it really is. And again, you know, I forgot that Vegas didn't do any sports last year, so that's huge. And they're getting the reps now, but sometimes game speed and game, you know, it's 8th graders going to 9th grade and not having that. It's a little shocking. It's shocking, yes. Right? It is, but I'm sure they're going to adjust. And I want to talk a little bit about your offense. You've got Matthew Gonzalez for the season, 28 of 39, 542 yards, an unbelievable 142.9 quarterback rating. On the ground, 43 carries for 375 yards, 8.7 yards per carry. And the freshman, Jesse James Gonzalez, 59 carries, 366 yards, and 6.2 yards per carry, 91 yards per game. Talk a little bit about that ground attack. You mentioned you're going to run for the spread. You've always done that. Talk a little bit about the ground attack.
Yeah, you know, this year we have, and it's fresh. Jesse James, a freshman. You know, Jesse James.
Love the name, by the way. Love the name. Love it.
Well, his dad is JJ Gonzalez, and people that are listening, or horse people, know that he was a jockey back in the night. He's a horse trainer, but he was a fraternity winner as a jockey. But wow. I've coached all their kids. One of their oldest son coached for me, and they are football IQ is high. That's what I say. So I was not worried about them playing as a varsity. Jesse James is a twin. He has a brother, Nathaniel, that also plays, and Matthew is their older brother, the quarterback. So I got 3 of those guys, and the IQ on this team is really high. My son, that was the tight end last year, is now the center, which is probably our backup quarterback. I don't know how that's going to work.
Wow, that's a huge shift. You know, on the line and then going to the center and calling all the audibles and the blocking assignments. But he's your son, so he should know.
That's right. I mean, this guy's been in the locker room since he was 4 years old, so I hope it's second nature. And he had a great quote in the paper the other day. Is, you know, the paper guy was telling him, you know, how do you feel from moving from tight end to? Nobody likes to move to the line. He says, no, wherever coach wants to put, where we need to win, that's where I'm going to be.
Coach, one more question because we got to wrap it up. But talk about your defensive unit. I want to make sure we give them some shine.
Yeah, Ace Gonzalez is leading, I think, the state in tackles right now. That's why he's my youngest son. But like I said, he's been pretty solid. Thought he was going to be a defensive end this year, but we needed an inside backer and put him in there, and he's doing a decent job there. I have 2 senior safeties that really control our defense and really put our guys in right positions, you know. So I think that, you know, with our gap control defense that we play, you know, those guys that have been there the Isaiah Estradas, the Matt Gonzalez, the Ace Gonzalez, and Bodie Schlinger. You know, those guys help us get to our defense, and pretty salty.
Coach Leroy Gonzalez, I'll tell you what, thanks so much for being with us on the sports desk, and we wish you all the luck this week against Tucumcari.
Thank you. I appreciate it anytime.
You bet. For producer Alden Iwani, I'm Ed Nunez. We'll see you next week on the sports desk.